Stop explaining yourself. Let your absence speak. There comes a point in life when silence becomes more powerful than words. A moment when walking away speaks louder than any speech you could have given. Louder than any justification you could have offered. It's not about pride or passive aggression, it's about dignity. It's about understanding that not everyone deserves a front row seat to your life. And more importantly, not everyone is entitled to an explanation. We live in a world that constantly demands we explain ourselves, why we left, why we're different, why we said no, why we've changed. There's this unspoken pressure to validate our decisions, especially when they make others uncomfortable. But here's the truth: the more you grow, the less explaining you owe. Maturity teaches you that silence, distance, and peace are often the only response you need. When people expect you to beg for understanding or fight to be seen in a certain light, they're not looking for your truth, they're seeking control. And when you engage, when you start defending yourself over and over again, you hand them the power to rewrite your story. But when you walk away without a word, when you remove your energy, your time, your presence, that's when your message echoes the loudest. The unspoken language of absence. Absence isn't void. It's not emptiness. It's a language of its own, one that communicates boundaries, self-respect, and transformation without ever raising its voice. When you stop showing up for people who only notice your presence when they need something, your silence will confuse them. They'll wonder if you're angry, if you're hurt, if you've changed, and the answer might be yes to all three. But you won't need to explain, because your absence is the message. It's the mirror they didn't want to look into. It reflects how they treated you, how they took you for granted, how they ignored your quiet cries for reciprocity. People don't listen when you speak, they listen when you disappear. They remember your worth when they can no longer access it. The dinner table feels colder. The room feels quieter. The absence becomes louder than all your past attempts to be understood. That's when realization hits. And by then, it's too late. Why we feel the need to explain. As humans, we're wired for connection. We want to be understood. We want closure, mutual comprehension, harmony. But often, this desire becomes a trap. We over-explain, overshare, over-defend. We write paragraphs trying to justify why we set a boundary. We spill our emotions hoping someone will get it. But what we forget is that not everyone wants to understand us. Some people are committed to misunderstanding you because the truth threatens their comfort. You can explain yourself 1,000 times and still be misinterpreted, especially by those who benefit from your silence. Your compliance, or your presence in their life is a convenience. It's not your job to fix their perspective. It's not your responsibility to shrink your truth into something palatable for someone who was never listening to begin with. The moment you realize this is the moment you step into your power. The power of not responding. There is strength in restraint. There is a calm fury in choosing not to react. When someone disrespects you, belittles you, or tries to manipulate your narrative, the instinct is to defend, to correct, to prove them wrong. But that's exactly what they want. They want your reaction. They want to keep you tangled in their web of drama. Because the moment you respond, you're trapped again, dancing to the rhythm of their dysfunction. But when you don't respond, when you let their words hang in the air unanswered, something strange happens. They begin to question themselves. Doubt creeps in. Silence becomes your shield. It protects your energy, your clarity, Your peace. It's not about running from confrontation. It's about refusing to entertain chaos. Not everything requires your energy. Not every insult needs a comeback. Not every slight deserves a defense. Some things deserve your absence. Nothing more, nothing less. Letting go of the need to be understood. One of the hardest things you'll ever do is walk away without closure. To choose peace over clarity. To release the need for others to validate your truth. But peace doesn't come from being understood, it comes from understanding yourself. When you truly know who you are, what you value, and where you're headed, you stop looking for others to agree with your journey. Their confusion becomes irrelevant. Their disapproval becomes background noise. You realize that not everyone is meant to walk with you. Some people are just chapters, lessons, reminders, not destinations. You don't owe your growth to anyone's timeline. You don't have to pause your evolution so someone else can catch up. And you don't have to break yourself down into smaller pieces just to fit into someone else's narrow view of who you should be. Letting go of the need to be understood is liberation. It's the freedom to evolve without permission. When silence becomes a statement, think of the times you walked away and never looked back, not out of spite, but because you had finally learned your worth. Remember how liberating it felt to not send that final text, to not explain your side of the story, to not beg to be seen. That silence? That was you reclaiming your power. Every time you choose silence over chaos, you're practicing self-mastery. Every time you leave without a dramatic exit, you're practicing emotional maturity. Every time you let your absence speak for you, you're drawing a line that says, I will no longer participate in my own mistreatment. It doesn't mean you didn't care. It means you cared about yourself enough to stop begging for scraps of love, understanding, or respect. And the beautiful irony? The quieter you become, the louder your truth becomes. It's in your absence that people feel the full weight of who you were. Stoic wisdom and the art of detachment. The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That's the essence of what we're talking about. Stop arguing your goodness, your worth, your reasoning. Just live it, be it. Let your actions, or your absence, reveal the truth. Stoicism teaches us not to be reactionary, to control what we can and release what we cannot. The opinion of others? Not in your control. Whether they understand your path? Not in your control. Your peace of mind? That's yours. Guard it. Detachment isn't about coldness. It's about clarity. It's about seeing things for what they are, not what we wish they were. When you stop explaining yourself, you stop clinging to illusions. You face reality with grace. You walk away not because you're weak, but because you're finally strong enough to stop fighting battles that don't deserve you. The echo of absence. There will come a day, weeks, months, maybe even years later, when the people who once dismissed you will feel your absence like a ghost. Not because you were vindictive, but because you were real. Your presence had depth, your loyalty was rare, your love was pure, and once you're gone, that kind of energy isn't easily replaced. Let them wonder. Let them replay old conversations in their mind, trying to decode your silence. Let your absence haunt them, not as punishment, but as proof that your presence was a privilege, not a guarantee. You don't need to remind them. You don't need to post cryptic messages or give dramatic goodbyes. Just leave, quietly, and let time do what time always does, reveal the truth. Your peace is the message. At the end of the day, your peace will speak louder than any explanation. Your calmness, your growth, your distance, that is your closure. You don't need a final conversation to justify your departure. You don't need applause for choosing yourself. You just need to walk away knowing that staying would have cost you your soul. You were not made to constantly justify your existence. You were made to live, to evolve, to rise. So stop explaining yourself. Let your absence speak, and let your silence say what words never could.